Yo, what's going on? It is 1 p.m. here in Crystal Lake, Illinois. It means it's time for another live stream. Today is Monday, May 5th, 2025. I just got back from Japan yesterday. I went there for the Metaspeed product launch announcement. I don't know what to call these events anymore. And also for the Tokyo Speed Race, the ASICS 5K and 10K that they had for their pros, where a lot of national records were broken, including an American record. And there was a close call for a second American record. And I'll tell you guys all about it. Plus I brought back 2 pairs of shoes that I can show you guys, and we can add to the shoe sheet. But first, before we get to that, let's say hi to everyone listening on the audio-only version on the podcast. Hopefully you guys are having a good run. Weather is perfect for running right now in the Midwest. Today, just got back from my run. 10 miles easy, which felt kind of long. But it's like in the 50s, it's overcast, light winds, but, really can't complain. So hopefully you guys are getting some of that too. And for everyone else watching this later but not live, welcome to the #1 place to learn about what a shoe looks like, feels like, and smells like. I don't feel like you guys are getting a lot of smells like commentary, even in live stream or not. But I'm bringing it to you. I got you guys covered. All right, Mark Peterson's here in the chat. He's saying, yeah, Bia. Mark, I was thinking about you a lot this weekend, because one of the things I had a chance to do was I had a chance to interview the American athletes that were there for the Tokyo Speed Race. One of those athletes was Bia Simbasa. And he's been on my radar for a little while. He's been one of those athletes that trains in Flagstaff. And he also ran a 2:06 last year in Valencia, making him the fastest American marathoner in 2024. And so we had been talking about him in the live stream, and Mark's like, "Oh, I know Bia," and Mark always knows everybody. He's always got a story. And I was like, "How do you know? How do you know Bia Simbasa?" And he goes, "Well, he used to work." I was like, "How do you know this guy? He lives in Flagstaff." And apparently, he used to work with Mark in a shoe store in Minneapolis. And so I was there. I'm there. I met Bia for the first time. This is the first time I ever talked to him. I got him sitting down, got him mic'd up. And I want to be like, do you know my friend Mark, by the way, from your time in Minneapolis? I wanted to go that way, but I was already taking a risk because I was playing a game with all the athletes. And the game was super fun. And it was going to be kind of goofy, and I just didn't know anything about his personality, so I didn't want to go too goofy, too hard the first time we met. So I didn't ask if he remembers you, Mark. But next time I talk to him, I will, because I feel like now we've got a rapport. Because I talked to him again. I talked to him a couple times because I was cheering for him on the race course. So I guess we'll just fast forward. We'll talk about the Tokyo Speed Race. So it's this 10K loop. It's a 10K race, but it's like a 1.3K loop. So you get to see the athletes a bunch of times, right? As they're going around. And so I'm cheering for him a bunch of times, and I'm running alongside him a couple of those times as well. And then at the finish line, they had given us not like the best media. We got like social media credentials. So we get pretty close to the finish, but we're like kind of right on the rail as the athletes are coming through the finishing chute. And I knew he was going for the American record. I thought that the American record was 27:30 for some reason. And I saw him come across at 27:32, and I'm like, "Yeah, be a great job." I see him come through the finish, and he comes over to me, gives me a little fist bump, and he goes, "Did I get it?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't think you did." But I was like, "I think it's close, man. I'm not sure. I didn't see exactly what time it was when you came through." So I was like, "But it was real close. You look great." And then later on, we found out that he did break the record, because the record was like 27:40 something. So he got it by a lot. And I did get a chance to do a post-race interview with him too. So I feel like we have had a lot of contact now. So now I feel like I can ask the "Do you know my friend Mark?" question. All right. All right. Adam has a question about the shoes. And we could talk about the shoes. I got him here. So I didn't get a chance to race in the shoes, which was unfortunate, even though I have a pair of shoes. And that's a long story. I don't know if I'll ever get into it, but we were asked not to race in them. It's not that long of a story. Not everyone was able to get who was there was able to get pairs of the shoes, and so I guess they didn't want to make people feel bad. So I've got Tokyo Sky, Metaspeed Sky Tokyo. Oh, there's such a way they've named these things, and then Metaspeed Edge Tokyo. So you could see the badging isn't as clear, but you could see the loops, and there's two colors of foam this year, because there's two kinds of foam. And so you can kind of see a little bit clearer the way that the shoes are shaped, which defines each of these shoes. Plus, I think they did this last year too. The outsoles have different colors. So the Sky Tokyo has the red outsole, and the Edge Tokyo has the black outsole. So that's another way that you'll be able to tell them apart. Adam says that the Paris models had narrow midfoot, high arch. They fit very similarly, I would say. When people say high arch, I never really notice high or low arches. I've had my feet like the 3D measured, like when you go to the shoe store and they have that. I have one medium arch and one high arch. So I just don't really feel like I notice a lot. I did notice on the Metaspeed Ray, the arch is very tall. It was like the shoe was all up in my arches. These I didn't feel that as much. But they are kind of tall, like just touching the shoe now. Oh boy, I mixed the shoes up already. Yeah. But the fit is, I'm pretty sure that the last is the same on all the shoes. The material is slightly different. And I think that's what it gives me more toe box volume. But I think in terms of the width of this part of the shoe, through I guess that's the throat of the shoe is what they call it sometimes, like the middle part of the arch. It fits very similarly for me there. All right. Ku Vang is here. Oh man. Ku had a PR over the weekend, but he says it's one I have to make peace with. It's just a little bit frustrating. It's a PR of 3 hours, 0 minutes, and 0.01 and 1 second. But it's so hard, but it's such a great PR. Great job. Congratulations on hitting that one. All right. Oh boy. That is very, you should have just run a second faster. Oh my God. Oh my God. Daniel Burton says, I thought Mance was the fastest marathoner. Mance did not run in 2024. Mance did not run a faster time than 2:06. Now granted, his marathons were a little bit different. They weren't flat and fast ones, but in 2024, 2:06 was the fastest American time. He's since run faster than that. He ran 2:05 something in Boston. But he did not, as far as I'm pretty sure he did not run faster than that. Because I remember there was a lot of people thinking that they were going to have the fastest time. And I think I did think Mance had it, but then Valencia's in December. And so everyone was like, oh man, that last little, there's no time to try and take that back. Ed Bud says that Stephen C says that Ed Bud does do a smell test, but it's not on a podcast. Yeah, sure. Does he do the smell test? Does he do it every time? I don't do it during my reviews though. I only do it here on the live stream. But yeah. And Alex Gonzalez says, Yo, Kafuzi just ran our first half marathon in the Alpha Flight 3s and got a time of 1:26:12. Awesome. Great job. Her first half marathon. That is wonderful. Very fast. All right. Do we have any other PRs in here? If anyone else had a PR that I didn't get to, let me know. Oh, here you go, Daniel. Daniel says, for my second marathon yesterday, finished at 3:02:25. That's a 50-minute PR from Chicago 2024 at a 3:52:55. What? What? That was not that long ago. That's incredible. But definitely get a big cowbell for that one. And then Daniel says, lots of learning, but still got lots of learning already, but still got a lot to figure out. On we go. That's amazing. Whew, 50 minutes. That's a big, big, big jump. Amazing. I think we got one more. Alex, let's find it. Mark says about Bia, says he definitely won't remember me. His time in Minneapolis was short. He worked at Fleet Feet and ran for a Minnesota Distance Elite. Might have been Team USA Minnesota still then, for a super hot minute. Okay, I'm gonna ask him about it anyway. What if he's like, dude, I totally remember that guy. What if he's like, I remember that guy, and he's mad about it. That'd be funny. What if Bia Simbasa has secretly been carrying beef about you, Mark, all these years? He's like, if I ever see that guy again, imagine that. Yeah, that'd be funny. All right. Oh, Adam, did you have a BR? 5 miles, 32:47. Whoa. Amazing. That's crazy. That's so fast. All right. Here's a good question from Frank. He wants to know, how does the Ray fit into the Edge Sky spectrum? So one thing that I noticed about it is that they were saying Metaspeed, and I guess I should have just been more like literal and asked the question directly, but they would say Metaspeed Sky Tokyo, Metaspeed Edge Tokyo, and they would just say Metaspeed Ray. So who knows if Ray is going to live on? You know what I mean? Maybe it's just experimental, but that's what I said about the Evo 1. And now we have Evo 2. But so the Ray is just Ray at this point. And then I think it's funny that they gave Ray a number. They told me that Ray means 0 in Spanish. My brain is not working. Ray means 0 in Japanese. So it's the Metaspeed 0. All the other, I feel like they're just trolling us at this point. All the other ones have numbers, but this new one has a number, but it doesn't have a city. The other ones have cities. So I feel like there's no convention in this one, but they're all over the place. But so they say that they're not specifying that it's like for Sky or for Edge runners, but I've heard from other people's interviews that they started with kind of Sky as the platform, or Sky as the kind of like starting off point, maybe the chassis, so to speak. So like some of the distinctive features of the Sky versus Edge now, especially, they're more distinct than ever, is that there's 2 different foams in each one. And depending on which one you get, the foams flip upside down, right? And so and we can go into that a little bit more. I guess we could talk about it now. So there's FF Leap foam, which is an ATPU foam. And then there's the FF Turbo Plus, which is what we had last year in the Sky Paris and Edge Paris. Now the Turbo Plus is a little bit more firm than the FF Leap is. Although firm is kind of like a misleading word to use, I would say, because it compresses less quickly, is I think the more accurate way of saying it. And so for the Edge, the FF Turbo foam, there's a bunch of it in the heel, so much of it in the heel. And then the FF Leap foam, which compresses much faster and also decompresses much faster. There's more of that in the forefoot. In the Sky, there's more of the FF Leap in the shoe. And it's the bottom layer. And then there's like a little bit of a top layer of FF Turbo Plus. And they say that's just to stabilize it for when you're stomping on it. from a forefoot perspective, so they need more stabilization. In the Metaspeed Ray, the plate position is more sky-like, but it has like one of those teardrop plates. So like remember the plate that was in the Ultra Vanish Carbon, that one? It's kind of like that, except it doesn't have forks. It's just like one. It's like just kind of like a big scoop part of plate that's in the forefoot, but it's not really doing the same kind of things like in Sky versus Edge. I think all it does is it makes it so that way when you are landing on the forefoot, it's depressing the whole forefoot at the same time. It's just making sure that it's kind of like more uniformly smushing the foam. And it's not doing all as much of work as it does in the Sky or Edge. But I would say I feel like it's going to appeal more to a Sky runner. That's what I would say. There is no plate in the heel, so it feels much more wobbly in the heel. And so I feel like if you're landing further back, it might be a little bit too squishy for you. So that's kind of how I'm looking at those foams. So I just scrolled away from something that I wanted to talk about. Oh, Calvin says, ran the Bloomsday 12K and saw a fellow Kafuzi and didn't catch his name, and saw Haptamu at the finish. He finished 13th overall. Yeah, that's cool. Where is Bloomsday? I saw that he raced. But I was like, where is this race? This race looks pretty cool. So that looked fun. Yeah, Kuvang says MZ equals Metaspeed 0. Ray, R-A-Y is how they're spelling it. It's the same as R-E-I, which is the same as the hiragana, which I don't know how to describe that, which is the number 0. Okay. So yeah, it's Metaspeed 0. I want to call the Tokyo ones Metaspeed 4. And people have been pointing out, like, didn't we already have Metaspeed Tokyo? Because the first ones, where's mine? I have my little, come on, this is where the archives come into play here. The first ones did say Tokyo on the side. It's even like, almost, is it the same exact font? No, it's slightly different. This Tokyo is more like, let's make it edgy and like look like a knife. And this one is just sans serif Tokyo. But there already was Tokyo written on the sides of these before, but they were not called Metaspeed Tokyo. We just called them Metaspeed Sky, Metaspeed Edge. And then we thought we would get Metaspeed Sky 2, but instead we got Metaspeed Sky Plus. And then we had, I just have it over there because I was filming. Then we had Metaspeed Sky Paris, which didn't say Paris on it. And then we have Metaspeed Sky Tokyo. So that's how it went. Daniel wants to know, when can you buy them? The Metaspeed Sky in Paris, the Metaspeed Sky Tokyo and the Metaspeed Edge Tokyo come out in mid to late July. And then the Metaspeed Ray comes out in early August. Yeah. Adrian wants to know, did the first Metaspeed come around the Tokyo Olympics? I believe it was. Yeah, I think so. I think it was for the Tokyo Olympics. And then this year, the World Championships will be in Tokyo. So I think it's to commemorate that. Willie Mangrum says, starting my running journey this week. All right, Willie. Well, remember, take it slow. It's about weeks, not days. So enjoy. Have fun. Alex says, what's your favorite new marathon racer so far? Pro Evo 2, Fast R3, ASICS, Ray, Sky, or are the missing shoes? So I think now all the shoes that I was super excited about for this year are announced. And the main ones that I was excited for, I didn't know we were getting an Evo 2. So that one was a little bit of a surprise to me. It's not that much of a surprise, but it is kind of a surprise because I just didn't think that they would keep making them, frankly. It's a $500 shoe because come on. And so I was really excited for Sky Tokyo because of how I'd seen runners run in it. You'd seen John Career, although John Career told me he runs an Edge. I thought it was he ran in Sky, but anyway, I was excited because of him for Sky. Um, and Clayton has been running in the Sky and the Ray, and I've tested the Ray before, so I don't know if you guys remember from my TRE video where I was like, yeah, it's annoying, but I'm testing a shoe and I can't show you guys. It was the Ray. It was an earlier version that had a giant cutout on the bottom. That did change how the shoe feels. But it could have been a pretty significant rock catcher. So all the athletes wanted it filled in. So now it's filled in. But that and the Fast R3, which I also tested like middle of last year. I tested it before the Olympics last year. So that's how long ago I was when I tested it. So those are the three main shoes I was super excited for this year. And I'm still super excited for all three of them. My favorite of the new ones right now, it's hard to say because I have much more experience in the Fast R3 than I do in the Sky or Ray. So it's not completely apples to apples. I'm really excited about the Fast R3 because I've done a lot of testing in it and I know what it can do. All my testing in the Ray and the Sky Tokyo are very preliminary. And they're like, this could be amazing. So, yeah. So that I'm excited for all three of them. I feel like in most other years, like any one of those three would take top racer of the year. That's how like good I think that those three are. But yeah. Adam says you should consider iconic shorter road races: Bloomsday, Boulder, Beta Breakers, Crim, Carlsbad. What else am I missing? Well, I've gotten Falmouth I've taken care of Falmouth. I feel like that's one that's a fun, shorter, but famous race. What other ones are there? I would like to do the Carlsbad 5000. That's one that's been on my list for a long time. It just never works timing wise for me. I would like to do Boulder, even though it sounds terrible to me. It's at altitude. It's a tough course. It's hot. I don't know. Everyone makes it sound so fun. So I do want to do it. It's hard because Memorial Day is a pretty big family weekend for me. And it's also now when the kids tend to be right at the end of the school year. And that's always hard for me to be away for that time. Bloomsday sounds interesting to me. I like that one. I met someone is the Bloomsday one the one they were talking about? Someone was telling me, I met someone on the Morocco trip from Spokane. Where's Bloomsday in? Is it Spokane? That must be the one she was telling me about. She's like, you gotta come. It's a different distance. I was like, okay. What's Crim? You guys gotta tell me about that. I don't know what that is. Who wants to know? Do you think the Ray will cannibalize the Tokyo sales? I don't think so. I think that like the Ray is gonna be probably for I don't know how many of the Ray they're gonna make. Number one. They'll probably sell out of them because I have a feeling they're not making a ton of them. Because I feel like most people are going to look at the footage of it and be like, that's way too squishy. It's going to be like Endorphin Elite 2, which was way too soft, which I'm not sure it was way too soft. It just feels like it was way too, I'm still like I've even reviewed it, but I'm like, I'm still not exactly sure what my thoughts are on that shoe. I go back and forth constantly. But I feel like my gut feeling is that it's just a little bit too soft. But I think that but then that's how I thought about the Evo 1 as well. And the Evo 1 seems to be selling well enough that they keep making Evo 1s and now they're on Evo 2. But I don't think so. maybe. But I think most people that are looking for Metaspeed Sky Tokyo are probably going to get Metaspeed Sky Tokyo because it does still have a generous portion of the FF Leap foam. You're still getting a really good sense of that. Yeah, and then the Ray just seems very specialized. So I'm just glad that they didn't call it like Metaspeed Sky Pro or something silly like that, or Metaspeed Sky Elite. You know what I mean? It's right there. They could have done that, and it wouldn't have been too crazy. But I'm glad that they didn't. Calvin says the launch date of the SE Elite 5 I feel is a huge mistake. It already feels behind on announcement, and it's not going to be out until the next round of updates. Plus, it alienated V4 lovers. When is the Elite 5 coming out? I saw it on people's feet in London. So that doesn't mean it's out. And if that's the first time we've seen it, that means it's probably coming out 2026, right? Does anyone know? Calvin, do you know? I don't know. Oh, Calvin says not till August. That's not too bad because that's when all these shoes that we're talking about now are coming out too. It's actually faster than it took for the 4. They had the 4 for so long. I don't know why they waited so long. And Ku wants to know, Mike, did you get or have insight or thought to why most of the ASICS pros chose to race in the Tokyo over the Ray? I'm not sure. I was actually surprised about that because when I did meet with the athletes, they almost all of them picked the Edge because this was a 5K and a 10K race. And so that didn't surprise me too much. Although I haven't tested the Edge yet. Mine's still brand new. So I'm assuming it'll follow a similar pattern as previous Sky versus Edge distinctions. And if it does, then it makes sense why they all picked Edge for this shorter race. And that may be why they didn't pick the Ray as well, because I'm guessing it's going to be a little bit more responsive and firm than the Ray will be. I would have loved to have raced in the Ray. I would have loved to have raced in the Sky or the Edge. But I raced in Metaspeed Edge Paris for my 5K. I did see some of like I don't know if they were like sub-elites because there's a lot of people in these races. I just don't know who everyone was, but I did see one person in the race. But for the most part, I didn't see any race. So I thought maybe it was like they were encouraged to pick Edge or Sky. I didn't know. But yeah. But Calvin's saying like, why announce it now and not launch it too? Yeah, so I feel like that's interesting to me that it would be so long ahead for the New Balance one. Here's why this makes sense for me for ASICS is because like this is a time of year that they could get this many of their athletes in one place at one time. That's why like Road to Records is now. And like this Meta Time Trials, or they're not calling it. I think they only called it Meta Time Trials the first time. I forget what it was called last year when it was in Paris. But this year, also around this time, they had the Tokyo Speed Race. And I think it's because it's after all the spring marathons, before the outdoor season really gets into gear. I guess like there was the China Diamond League over the same weekend. So it's like it's a good time where if you're going to get everyone together, the athletes have a spot in their calendar where they could do something like this. So they're going to get meaningful participation from their pros, even if the shoes themselves won't be ready to launch until later. So I also think that like, I wonder if they're using this to help guide like how much to make of the shoe. I don't know if the timeline would be right for that, but if like they look at like, all right, this really popped, people are liking this, let's double the order that we had, or this people aren't too excited about it or they're reacting negatively to it, let's cut back. I don't know if that's what it is too. With New Balance, I have no idea why they would like have it available for some people to run in London, like some of their pros, some of their media partners, but then not have it available till August. Seems weird because it's like if it's ready, then like have it available now, have people train in it all summer long so they could run their fall marathons in it, or maybe wait till June. I think July's probably gets you there as well because then it's like you're getting the brand new shoe as you're hitting kind of like the heavier weeks of your marathon training block. Perfect time to start getting excited about it. So I don't know. I do not know. Frank says, "Are there no ASICS runners in Grand Slam?" I don't know that that's true. There might be some, but like there aren't any that are running the 5,000, 3,000. You know what I mean? So I don't think there might be some sprinters in there as some challengers. I don't think there's any as racers. I don't know. I'm debating. We're trying to figure out. My wife and I went for a nice walk yesterday. Since I came back and I was just super groggy, and I didn't feel I had enough time to run. I just didn't have the energy to run. So my wife and I went on a nice long walk yesterday around the neighborhood, and I'm thinking about taking my older daughter to watch Grand Slam LA. She's been really into track meets. We watched Jamaica Grand Slam. And she enjoyed me giving commentary on the races as well as the TV commentary. So she's like, I think I want to watch a track meet. And I was like, and then we went for a run, I think. Or maybe I was just talking to her on a drive home from a track meet. And I was telling her about like, oh, well, maybe we can go to Drake relays one year or Penn relays. That was really important to me, Penn relays in high school. I never got to go. I was never good enough to go. But that was like the Boston jacket before I knew about a Boston jacket. If you had the Penn Relays t-shirt, like the long sleeve with the P on the back, that was like, oh man, this person's fast. And then like 2 days, I didn't realize it, but like 2 days after my daughter and I had that conversation was both of those meets. So maybe next year we'll go to, but I'm thinking about it. But I would like to watch Grand Slam, and then like in its first year, you know. Patrick says though on this launch, like product launch or announcement and then later release date, says I like this method of announcing ahead of time because I don't want to buy a bunch of race shoes in a year, usually only two. And Patrick, that's still probably a lot for most, like the average runner. But as Patrick says, so I can decide either wait until August or buy something now. Well, that makes sense too for something like this. But it's like these are getting more expensive for sure. But it's not like they're not like phones where like you only buy one phone every like year or two. So having the information is helpful to plan. But I guess they are kind of some of them are getting that expensive. So maybe. Juliana VB says, I've been thinking about taking my two sons to the Philly Grand Slam. I was thinking Philly Grand Slam would make more sense for me because that's an easier flight than LA. And I'm just more familiar with the East Coast than being in LA. But the timing is tough because I think I got to go. It's like the weekend before I'll be in New York. But then I was like, well, maybe I'll just stay that whole time. But I just don't want to be gone though. Also, and again, that's right around Labor Day. Memorial Day. So it's like the end of the school year for the kids too. So I was like, I'll just wait till they're off of school, which is the LA Grand Prix one. Grand Slam, not Grand Prix. Sorry. Morgan, the running guy, says, hi y'all. The OC marathon was fun. Not the time I wanted, but happy with the result. Not being able to run that much the past few weeks. Okay. That's good. Congratulations, Morgan. Glad you were at least able to get a result that you're happy with. I like that. And Patrick says, so like, for example, the Puma Fast R3 would have annoyed me if I already bought a race shoe and they had a surprise drop after I already wore my other $280 shoe and I can't go return it. Okay, yeah. Yeah, so you like having a bigger lead time for a bigger purchase like a race shoe. That's interesting. Interesting. All right. Johnny says it's spreadsheet time. Okay, look at me. I'm already ready. I'm ready with the spreadsheet. I had it loaded up earlier, but we got some adjusting to do. All right. We're going to have 2 shoes to add to the shoe sheet today, both from ASICS. We've got the I gotta speak so slowly when I talk about these. Metaspeed Sky Tokyo, and then we have ASICS Metaspeed Edge Tokyo. Like I feel like the word should be Metaspeed Tokyo Edge and then Metaspeed Tokyo Sky, but I know that's not how it works. So, whatever. All right, so the Metaspeed Sky, I actually have about 6, let's say 7 miles on them, because I did film them before I ran in them, but I didn't have a chance to weigh them. I did really think about bringing my scale with me, because I knew I would also be able to see the Ray, and I know they had their own scale, but I'm like, I want to bring my scale. But then I was like, well, if I'm going to travel and fly with my scale, I got to bring my weight calibration set so that I know in case it gets jostled and something happens. So I was like, this is becoming too much. So I was like, I'll just leave the scale at home. We'll keep it in, I guess, some similar conditions as much as possible. And then I'll just have to have a little asterisk. I don't think that 6 miles, and mostly of it was easy running, is going to change the weight of the shoe that much. I think we'll be okay. All right. Let's start with the Edge. There's stuff in here. This one smells kind of plasticky. It smells like a shopping bag. Like a grocery store bag. Doesn't smell that great. Yeah, this thing is light. Oh boy, it's light. And then switch it to grams. So the ounces on this one, on the Edge Tokyo, are 5.5 ounces and 156 grams. That's crazy light. Amazing. And then for the Sky, my Sky weighs a little bit different. I can't remember if they said they thought they would end up weighing the same, which it makes sense that they weigh different because there's different combinations of Leap versus Turbo Plus in here. But my Sky is 5.6 ounces and 158 grams. So slightly heavier, but that could just be the road weight. I'm not sure. But either way, all right, you guys are, people are trying to see this on their phone. So maybe that's a little bit better. I can go one bigger. There we go. All right. So we got some weights on here. Let's add it to the board. And then we got a data sort sheet by weight. Yeah. So the Evo 1 and Evo 2 are still way lighter in the 130s, almost 140 grams. But yeah, the Metaspeed Edge Tokyo and Sky Tokyo are beating the Puma Fast R3 by a lot, by about half an ounce. Jeez. These weights are crazy light. It's amazing. It's amazing how light everything is. Yeah, Daniel says it's extremely light. It is extremely light. Yeah, Kevin says 5.5 ounces is nuts. Yeah, Adam says we need 2 additional columns for retail price and date. Oh man, it's adding a lot of columns. It's more columns. I already has more columns here than I think we need. I don't think we need to have the which shoe column. I think we could just have a notes column, so in case it's not the right shoe or whatever. I don't know. And Rob says, I saw that the Tokyos last much longer than an Evo. Yeah, I haven't gotten any new updated information on the Evo 2, like if it's supposed to last longer than the Evo 1. To me, the foam feels quite different in the Evo 2 versus Evo 1. Did we have a chance to talk about that on the live stream yet? I took it out for a test run, and it was a lot of fun to run in, for sure. There is more foam in the forefoot. I also feel like the rocker shape has changed, which also, again, affects how much foam there is in the forefoot, apart from the fact, and in addition to the fact that they added more foam to the stack height in the forefoot because there's less drop. And so but that foam feels different. So I'm wondering if it's going to last slightly longer. Yeah. But anyway, going back to the FF Leap foam, I have two thoughts on it. One, the FF Leap is aliphatic TPU, which is the same, I guess, name of the chemical compound or compound family that the Nitro Elite 3 and the Fast R2 and Fast R3 are made out of. And those foams last a really long time. It doesn't even make sense. I mean, I'm imagining, well, it probably like just never biodegrades. Like I know these are all foams and they're all petrochemical foams, but so they're not exactly going to be compostable, but I just have a feeling that it's got to be terrible for the environment. It's like the new asbestos, maybe. But anyway, aliphatic TPUs, in my experience, are foams that last a really long time. That being said, I'm like, what is the Evo 1 made out of? So who knows? I'm not sure if it's going to have the same kind of longevity like Puma's getting out of their formulation of ATPUs. But they did mention that their durability testing for the Metaspeed Ray, kind of like they did their durability testing to like 300 kilometers. And so, those machines that like press the shoe and whenever like Believe in the Run posts it, it goes viral every time. So those machines that like just stomp on the shoe over and over, they figure out like what that's like the equivalent of. And so they did theirs to 300 kilometers. And then they had one pair of shoes there that we could look at where one of their athletes had run in a single pair of Metaspeed Ray for 700 kilometers. And it looked pretty beat up, but it didn't look completely trashed. You know what I mean? And so I think they just had the athlete run in it until they were like, I can't run in it anymore. And the 700 is where that athlete stopped. So, I think it's going to last longer. The Metaspeed Ray is going to last longer than an Evo 1 for sure. How much longer the Evo 2 lasts than the Evo 1, I think is going to be a substantial number. I don't know how much longer, but I think it's going to be a substantial number. So, yeah. Speaking of Nitro Elite 3, Matthew Ali says, I finally broke the sub 20 minute 5K in my first run the Puma Deviate Nitro Elite 3. Congratulations. Matthew says, thanks for the great recommendation and reviews. You're the best. Well, thank you very much. And congratulations on that fast time. Okay. Calvin says that the Evo 2 will be 2 whole marathons. Maybe. It'll be interesting to see what people get out of the Evo 2. There were times where I was like, I think the Evo 2 kind of reminds me of the Sheep Pro, that craft shoe. It kind of reminds me of that. It was weird to be like, I kind of didn't love the Sheep 2, but the Evo 2 feels similar-ish. They still feel very different, but in terms of how responsive or surprisingly responsive the Evo 2 felt, or firm the Evo 2 felt, yeah. Calvin says, how did you deal with the jet lag for the quick turn around to and from Japan? I did not deal with it very well. I think I dealt with it decently. Um, the first time I went to Japan 2 years ago, I had a moderately tough time on the way there, and then a horrible time on the way back. I have a feeling it's going to be the same thing. So the first night, I got there in the evening, the first day, and I got a pretty good amount of sleep the first day. But I did wake up early because I wanted to get a longer run in before the day started. And so the sunrise is super early in Tokyo. The sun rose at 4:40 something the first day. And so like I got out there at like 5 o'clock, a little bit before 5, but I was up at like 4. Um, and I had set an alarm for that because I wanted to get that run in. The next day, I woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning, even though I didn't want to, and I couldn't get back to sleep. And then the night after that, I woke up at 3:30 in the morning and couldn't get back to sleep. So like my sleep was off. It was hard. And then by the end of the night, I was kind of mentally just really groggy, and I just couldn't function. I wanted to just go to bed. So, that was I was able to get through the day, and I was still able to run reasonably well. So I felt like I handled it pretty good. Yesterday, I landed in Chicago at like 8:40 in the morning, and I just went through waves of like, I'm exhausted, I'm gonna take a nap, and I'm wide awake, and I don't think I'll ever go back to sleep again. And so yesterday was a little bit tough. I went to bed at like 10. I made it to 10. And then I woke up with no alarm at 6:45. So I got a decent amount of sleep. So hopefully that's enough to get me like right, you know? So we'll see. Some people do like the apps and stuff. There's an app that tells you like for the couple of days ahead of time, you tell it like where you are, where you're going to be, and then it'll tell you like 3 days before you go, try to go to bed by this time, or at least like no screen time. No, try to turn off as many like artificial lights as possible. Like, so it gives you like some sleep hygiene things to do and when to sleep, to kind of acclimate yourself. I just feel like that's not realistic for me, because if I'm going on a trip where I'm going to be gone for several days, I am basically not sleeping for a couple of days beforehand because I got so much work that I'm going to try to do to get ahead. So that way, while I'm gone, there isn't a gap in content. So I'm usually exhausted by the time I get to the airplane, and I try to basically air travel as great as it can be. It still stinks. So I did have like kind of an upgrade. I had Economy Plus, the kind where you kind of have almost like a first class, like a domestic first class size seat. It was really big. And so it wasn't quite like business class full lay down, but it wasn't like a regular seat either. And so it was plenty comfortable, and they fed you like every couple of hours, but still a long flight. So my general preference is to sleep as much as possible on the plane, and then figure out how tired you are when I get there. So that's kind of how I approach jet lag and stuff. Maybe that's why I have such a hard time with it, but yeah, that's what I do. Yeah. Tokyo 27 says, greetings from Harker Heights, Texas. I've been stretching as I watch, ending my stretch warm-up with the stream, and now the rain starts. Oh well. It's a run in the rain today. 6 miles on tap. Well, thanks for joining us. Hope you're nice and limber and ready to run, and hope the rain's not too bad out there for you. Calvin says, are you working to improve your flight kit then? Sleep pillow, mask, comfier clothing, supplements? Sometimes I bring melatonin with me to have some melatonin gum. It's like, so usually on the like longer flights, once they're up in the air, there's usually like a meal right away, regardless of kind of what time it is. And it feels like you get up in the air, above your 10,000 feet, service will start. And either it's like a beverage first and then a meal, or like just a meal right away. And then they turn all the cabin lights down. I did bring like eye masks with me, because I thought I might need it depending on how bright it was or wasn't in the cabin, but it was fine. I didn't need it. And then for comfier clothing, I usually dress a little bit warm, so I'll bring like something like a pullover or a hoodie with me just in case. So that way I'm not too cold, because sometimes planes get real cold, um, regardless of time of year. And then a lot of times on these longer flights, they give you a blanket. So I usually put the blanket over my legs. And then I did not use the sleep mask, but I always bring noise canceling headphones, because I feel like that just helps you with a lot of the fatigue that your body feels, and it helps you sleep. Um, and then I did not bring any melatonin with me this time, but that can help people. And for other comfy stuff, um, I try to wear comfortable shoes, or a lot of these super long ones, I gotta take my shoes off. And I know some people think that's gross, but like if you fly on an Asian airline, they usually give you slippers to put on. Um, so I wore the slippers on the way home. On the way out, I flew United, so I didn't have slippers. But like for me, taking my shoes off really helps for me to be able to be comfortable and fall asleep. Daniel wants to know, what kind of food do they give you for long flights? It depends on the airline. So I flew United on the way out, so it was like American food on the way out, and then I flew Air Nippon Airlines. I don't know what the other A stands for. All Nippon Air. And anyway, and ANA, which is a United partner. But so that's how it got booked. But it was a Japanese airline on the way back, and on the way back, the food was like a katsu cutlet with rice and curry sauce. So kind of like a almost like, well, not schnitzel's not the right word, but like a pork Milanese or chicken Milanese in curry sauce with rice. So that was one of the meals. There was a lot of tea on the way back, and they actually they had I had cup of noodles, but it was fancy cup of noodles. It was vegan, fancy vegan cup of noodles. I should have paid more attention to what that brand was, because that was better than the other vegan noodles that I tested before. But those were good. So it was like that. When I fly like Lufthansa, you don't get exactly German food, but it's not the same food you would get if you fly like United or British Airways. So you kind of, it changes a little bit. But like, I feel like when you fly overseas, like a long international flight, the food is decent. It's not bad. I feel like airline food got such a bad rap, and maybe that's why, like for domestic flights, they stopped doing it because everyone hated it because the quality wasn't good. But for a lot of times, um, the food on the airplane, I'm not saying I would go search it out, but I'm not like left disappointed by it um, when I'm flying. So that's pretty good. On Lufthansa, one of the things, I've just been flying Lufthansa a lot because they're also a United partner. So even if I try to book through United, it just gets serviced by Lufthansa. Um, so a lot of these longer flights, they'll give you a meal, and then before you land, there's like a snack. And a lot of times it's like this kind of like, I don't know, they call them like a pizza twist or something, but it's basically like a giant mozzarella stick that they'll give you. And that's pretty good. I like that one. Um, yeah. So the food, I like the food. And then on these international flights, they usually serve it with booze. So that's if I'm not flying their to race, then I usually indulge in that as well. All right. JC says, if not mentioned, I saw 1.1 million applied for a London Marathon. Is that right? That's the number that I saw. Someone did mention it a little bit earlier, but I didn't mention it I didn't call it out. But yeah, and Mark, I think it was Mark that said like, you know, Mike would probably point out that's going to be a lot of rejections to send. And that is going to be a lot of rejections to send. And no, I think Mark said that it's not the flex that they say it is. Yeah, I don't think I don't think that's it. It's not a flex, unless you're saying like, and I mean, maybe they are gonna accept more people than ever, but it's just gonna be a lot of no's that they give out. And a lot of people have been complaining that like they just seem to be chasing the big number for ballot entries. Um, and I have seen a little bit more grumbling. I did a lot of grumbling last year about it. And so I'm not doing that much grumbling this year about it. Uh, but anyway, um, saying that like there needs to be some sort of system so that more people can try the race, get to experience the race, and I've been seeing people saying like you should only get to do it once every couple of years. Like once you run it, you don't get to run it again, you know? So yeah. And Frank says that one of the reasons why it's so big is because they don't ask for a credit card number. I agree. And that's what a lot of people have pointed out. Like all you got to do is basically like just check a box and be like, I want to be added to this lottery. And because you don't have to actually like put your money where your mouth is, everyone just kind of puts in for it. Where I feel like the better way is to be like, you should have to put your credit card number down. I don't know the rationale for why they don't do it that way, but yeah. And Terry says 56,000 people is too many people for London streets. I would agree with you on that one. Tracy Smith says that the numbers are affecting the race experience though. I agree. Unless they're willing to like keep extending how long it takes to start the race. You know what I mean? Like, I think that like you can't just keep jamming more people down the chute. And I know it's hard because then you have to close roads more and all that stuff. But I just think that, yeah, it's hard. It's hard to, I think they're having a hard time maintaining the race experience. And so I think that they have to decide, do they care that people keep getting rejected? That the same people keep getting rejected and the same people seem to be able to get to run, year after year. So I think that like, I don't think that they care enough to try and solve the problem. Because if you change the system the way it is, all the people that currently benefit from the system are going to be mad at the expense of the people that don't benefit right now from the existing system, with the risk that, of course, there could be unintended consequences, that even more people might be unhappy. So what are the risks and benefits? How expensive will it be to implement a new filter system that says you can't run it if you run it in the last 2 years? Things like that. Andrew Scott says, I doubt they care. That's kind of what I think too. Chris the Mix says, PR in the half this weekend, 135.22. Nice work. And it's impressive because it's at 4,900 feet of elevation, almost 5,000 feet of elevation. Come run the Boulder with us. I don't know. I would run the Boulder for fun, but I would not try to run it that hard. I mean, I'd probably try to run it hard, but it wouldn't be a fast time. But yeah, congratulations, Chris. That's a great time. Johnny says that 450 people ran the London Marathon at midnight before race day once the roads were closed and barriers were up. You kind of like running in the dark, though. And Courtney Webb says, I wonder if Superblast 3 will get leap foam. I did hear something like some offhand comments on it from someone at ASICS that has been testing it. So interesting things are going to happen because I felt like from Superblast 1 to Superblast 2, it looked like it was just like kind of a mild update, but it was a substantially different foam, FF Turbo versus FF Turbo Plus. And I do think that changed the shoe quite a bit. I don't know what the final version of Superblast 3 is going to be, but it is going to be different. So I'm excited to see whatever that ends up being. When did Superblast 2 come out? I was running with that in Paris last year. So it must have come out about this time last year, maybe. Maybe we'll see another one soon. I'd be surprised. I feel like there's still a lot of people who haven't really run in Superblast 2 yet. So, yeah. So I'd be surprised if they're already going to update it. I did have a conversation with someone at ASICS. I was like, I gave you guys such a hard time over the 225 price, but you guys are always sold out at $200. So maybe the 225 price is right, or you just need to make more Super Blast. So I think they're going to probably do a little, I don't know if they're going to raise the price, but I think they're going to try to make more of them. AJ's giving us some updates from Cocodona. He's watching this and the live stream at the same time. He says, the drop bags didn't make it to the first major aid station, and the leaders had to go without. Oh, boy. Interesting. Paul Public says, I just watched the Cole running London Marathon video. It didn't look like he had any crowded street issues, but he's a 2:16 guy. That'll do it, I guess. I guess that's kind of like the Boston style answer to all these races that have too many people. Just run faster. I can tell you that from my experience starting out, not that I stayed with that group for very long, but starting out with the 3-hour pace group, it was very congested for the first 15K, even at 3-hour pace. So not that that's anywhere near 2:16, but still very, very crowded. All right, guys. I got to get, Rashan Fernandez says, where's your Ray? I don't have a Ray. I only have these two. I got to end it here. I got to go hop on another call with Relay. Hang out with them for a little bit. But I will have the Tokyo video probably won't come out for like another maybe week. I'm going to hopefully have another shoe review to come out tomorrow. I think I might review the Atomo Star finally, but it's going to be a little bit of a different kind of review, but we'll see. So that might come out next, and then I'll see you guys again on Thursday for another live stream. Thanks everybody for tuning in today, and be safe until I see you guys next time. Thanks.